draft charter for the establishment of the Kenya Medical Research Institute. And this motion is equally by the chair on delegated legislation. Uniquely, we have another motion. It is in Kiswahili, and allow me to give it to you as it appears in the order paper. And the motion is hoja ya ukaguzi wa asasi zisizo huru kikamilifu za Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki na ushoroba wakati ya Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Hoja hii ni ya mwenyekiti wa kamati ya utangamano wa kikanda na mwenyekiti wa kamati ya utangamano wa kikanda kwa niaba ya kamati yake atakuwa analitaka bunge la kitaifa hii leo liridhie ripoti ya kamati ya utangamano wa kikanda kuhusiana na ziara ya ukaguzi wa taasisi hizo huru kikamilifu za Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki na ushoroba wakati katikati ya Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania iliyowasilishwa kwenye meza ya bunge tarehe 9 mwezi Aprili mwaka 2025. Mtazamaji, bunge la kitaifa hii leo litakuwa linaendeleza mjadala kuhusiana na hoja hii, na ni mjadala ambao una salio la dakika 5 na masaa mawili. Technically, the time allocated for debate is usually 3 hours. So members of the National Assembly had already begun the debate on this motion. And the motion has a balance of about 2 hours and 5 minutes. And the House will be resuming debate on this motion. The reports of the Kenyan delegation to the 147, 148, 149, and 150s assemblies of the Interparliamentary Union, IPU, and related meetings is a motion lined up for consideration. This is among other business or functions. Meetings is a motion lined up for consideration. This is among other business or functions. comes to ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes, this being a leeway for members of parliament within the presence of parliament to make their way into the National Assembly chamber for the house to properly quorate to commence business this afternoon. As you await for that quorum to be attained, the consideration of the Consolidated Fund Services and the supplementary estimates for the financial year 2025-2026 is a motion lined up for consideration this afternoon. This is a motion by the Chairperson, Public Debt and Privatization Committee, Honorable Abdi Shurie. Honorable Abdi Shurie, on behalf of his Committee on Matters Public Debt, will be seeking to have the National Assembly adopt the report of the Public Debt and Privatization Committee following its Consolidated Fund Services, or consolidation or consideration of the Consolidated Fund Services under the supplementary estimates of the financial year 2025 all the way to the financial year 2026, or technically 2025-2026. The Committee on Matters Public Debt laid its report on the table of the National Assembly on the 7th day of April, the year being 2026. A look at the supplementary estimates. Number one of the year 2025-2026 is that the supplementary estimates were submitted by the National Treasury to the National Assembly on the 3rd day of the March 2026, and this is in line with Article 223 of the Constitution of Kenya and Section 44 of the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 412A. The estimates do include provisions relating to the Consolidated Fund Services, which comprise of statutory expenditures charged directly on the Consolidated Fund and by their nature do not fall within the scope of matters appropriations. The expenses, my dear viewer, include public debt servicing expenditures, pension payments, salaries and allowances for independent offices and constitutional commissions, and guaranteed public debt payments, among other expenditures. After the submission of the estimates by the National Treasury to the National Assembly, the Committee on Public Debt and Privatization is mandated to examine, or was mandated rather in that particular case, since the estimates were submitted in March, to examine the estimates of the Consolidated Fund Service expenditures in accordance with the National Assembly standing orders and table the report. That was done for the better part of yesterday. And the National Treasury, as well as the control of budget, among some of the key stakeholders that gave their submissions in regards to the estimates for the financial year 2025-2026. Through their submission before the committee on the 30th of March 2026, the control of budget informed the Committee on Public Debt that in the financial year 2025-2026 budget, the government, through the National Treasury, projected to raise 4.9 trillion shillings from various revenue and financing sources. This is comprising of tax revenue of Kenya shillings 2.63 trillion shillings, non-tax revenue of 127.65 billion shillings, domestic borrowing of 1.1 trillion shillings, external loans and grants totaling to 569.8 billion shillings, and other domestic financing amounting to 10.8 billion shillings. The government further targeted to raise 672 billion shillings from appropriations in aid, or A in A, if you may like. This comprises of 334.26 billion shillings for ministerial recruitment, that is A in A, and 337.74 billion shillings for ministerial development. On matters pension, which is a matter of public interest, the pension expenditure is projected to remain public interest. Pension expenditure is projected to remain
I thank you.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Health. You can.
Honourable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that this House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee on Health on its consideration of public petition number 021 of 2025 regarding access to healthcare by cancer patients in the country, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 8th April 2026. Thank you.
Is that all the departmental? Do you have a notice of motion? Committee on Parliamentary Broadcasting? Or it was just the laying of the paper? Okay, with that, let's move to the next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Okay, we have some responses. There are statements that are to be requested. Honorable Kazungu, member for Ganze. And I think the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Affairs want to respond.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Actually, it's a request for a statement.
It's a request, okay.
Yeah. So, Honorable Speaker, this is a request for a statement regarding the death and burial of the late Jessica Kashutu Zero in Saudi Arabia. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations regarding the circumstances surrounding the death and burial of the late Jessica Kashutu Zero, a Kenyan citizen who passed away in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Honorable Speaker, the late Jessica Kashutu Zero, a resident of Sosodemu village, Madamani sublocation in Ganze constituency, was working in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia as a domestic worker when she tragically passed away on the 30th June 2025. Following her death, the Integrated Center for Peace and Security, ICPS, a registered non-governmental organization that assists Kenyans in distress abroad, wrote to the Principal Secretary, State Department of Diaspora Affairs on the 7th August 2025, seeking assistance to facilitate the repatriation of her remains. However, while follow-ups were being made with the Diaspora Affairs Office, the organization and the family were informed that the late Jessica Kashutu Zero had been buried in Saudi Arabia, together with 5 other Kenyans, without the knowledge and consent of their families, and apparently without notification of the government of Kenya. The families of the deceased are therefore seeking justice, transparency, and closure. They wish for the exhumation of and reparation of the remains of their loved ones for burial in Kenya. This revelation has caused deep anguish and confusion among the affected families, who have since appealed to the government for intervention and for communication with Saudi authorities to establish how such burials could have occurred without their knowledge and consent. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations on the following. Number 1, the cause of death of the late Jessica Kashutu Zero, whether on any post-mortem examination was conducted in Saudi Arabia, and the post-mortem report. Number 2, details of the person or body that granted authorization of the burial of the late Jessica Kashutu Zero and the other Kenyan citizen in Saudi Arabia without the consent of their families, and whether the government of Kenya was notified. Number 3, the steps taken by the ministry to facilitate the exhumation and repatriation of the remains of the deceased person to Kenya for proper burial by their families. And lastly, number 4, the measures in place to ensure that Kenyans working abroad, especially domestic workers, are accorded their rights and that their employers are held accountable for any death, unpaid dues, or violations of international labor laws. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
So it will be marked to the Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations, Honorable Russell. Honorable Russell? Oh, Honorable Russell, no, he's in defense. Oh, no, he's internal security. Who is in defense and foreign relations? If not, I will nominate. Okay, yes, please. Honorable Yusuf, you can give an undertaking on behalf of your committee. How many weeks do you need to respond to it?
2 weeks, I would say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is a statement by Honorable Gideon Ochanda. Is he here?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee of Tourism and Wildlife regarding the persistent and escalating crocodile menace along the lower River Yala, particularly in Imbo North and in Imbo East. Honorable Speaker, it is a matter of grave concern that for over 3 years, residents of the mentioned locations have been subjected to recurrent attacks and threats posed by the crocodiles inhabiting the lower River Yala. These incidents have resulted in loss of lives, injuries, and disruption of livelihoods, especially among the communities that depend on the river for domestic use, livestock, and farming activities. Among several fatalities are 2 young pupils, Suleiman Oduor and Pascal Okoth. Mrs. Lucia Dhiambo Ouma, John Otieno Okeo, and Ezekiel Nyamwasi also lost their lives in this unfortunate series of attacks. Despite numerous reports and appeals to the relevant authorities, there has been no adequate intervention to address this existing danger. The continued inaction has exposed the residents to untold suffering and heightened insecurity. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Tourism and Wildlife on the following. 1, measures undertaken by the relevant government agencies over the past 3 years to mitigate the crocodile menace in the lower River Yala, including any assessments or mapping of human-wildlife conflict hotspots and the outcomes thereof. 2, the reasons for the delay or failure by the concerned departments to implement effective and sustainable intervention to safeguard residents of the said locations despite repeated reports and appeals. 3, the status of the compensation for victims affected by the reported crocodile attacks, including reasons for the failure to address claims relating to loss of life and livestock, and a clear timeline for when the affected families will receive full compensation. 4, the immediate and long-term measures the government is undertaking to protect the community and eliminate or significantly reduce the threat posed by crocodiles, including deployment of response teams, installation of warning systems, constructions of protective barriers, and community sensitization initiatives. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. That will be marked to the Committee on Tourism and Wildlife. Is there a member of that committee here? Yes, proceed.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'll be able to give a comprehensive response within the next 2 weeks.
What is your point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to inform the Honorable Oundo that first, I'm sorry that the crocodiles are wreaking havoc for the people along Lower Ribayala, but can he consider taking a group of fishermen from that area to go and benchmark from Tana River? Because they eat crocodiles, so that they know how to trap them. That is food. They just need to know how to fish crocodiles as well. Because when I was in Tana River last time, Madam Speaker, I ate a quarter kg of crocodile. I added 5 weights. 5 kgs, Honorable Madam Speaker.
Thank you for the advice. I'm sure Honorable Chanda has noted that. Next, let's go to, there was a response expected from the Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Affairs Committee on a statement that was given by Dr. Ariko, member for Turkana South. Is a member for Turkana South here? Okay, and did the chairperson assign anyone to give this answer? It's okay, I think it has to move to another day because it seems like no one is here to do it. Okay, thank you. We'll just defer it to the next time. Yes, I know, yeah. Next also,
1.5 billion was to be released in July 2025 and used for the payment of staff salaries and arrears. A total of 500 million was received on 7th of August 2025 and used for payment of July 2025 and August 2025 salaries. 1 billion shillings was also received on 19th of September 2025. 600 million was used to pay for payment of staff salaries, arrears, and the balance used to pay the September 2025 and October 2025 salaries. As such, Honorable Speaker, the promise was met. On the issue of the government also, according to the MOU, who is the lessor, shall continue to pay salary arrears at a rate of 1.17 billion to be verified on quarterly basis until 30th of June 2026. The status is such that the funds have not been received. The National Treasury is expected to disburse 1 billion shillings soon. So the ministry expects 1 billion shillings soon for the settlement of the employees' salaries. Honourable Speaker, one of the reasons for failure by the ministry to settle arrears owed to workers, farmers and suppliers to Sony Sugar Company by July 2025, as earlier indicated, the Cabinet Secretary stated that salary arrears were to be settled by July 2026 and not July 2025 as detailed above. Delay in payment has been caused by the late receipt of exchequer from the National Treasury. Honourable Speaker, on the issue of the total amount owed to the workers and farmers, indicating the number of people affected following the restructuring of the Sony Sugar Company by the private investor and the amount due to each, the Cabinet Secretary stated that auditors from the National Treasury are currently undertaking the audit of all the pending payments to establish the final payment due. And on the final issue, Honourable Speaker, on the measures by the ministry specifying the budgetary provisions meant to ensure immediate settlement of all the pending arrears and the timelines for payment, the ministry has made a request to the National Treasury for allocation of funds for the settlement of all the pending arrears. Payment will be made as and when the funds are received. Honourable Speaker, I submit. Thank you very much.
Honourable Member for Awendo, are you satisfied?
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I want to appreciate the response. However, I am not satisfied, Madam Speaker, because the Cabinet Secretary is not giving us a specific date when these arrears will be sorted out, Madam Speaker. Secondly, the allocated 1 billion Kenya shillings that they are talking about is not adequate, considering that we are talking about 4 factories which are supposed to, this money is supposed to be divided amongst the 4 government-owned factories which are facing a similar challenge, Madam Speaker. So the 1 billion shillings is not adequately going to address that. Again, we need to consider that the employees, the beneficiaries that we are talking about here, Madam Speaker, not all of them are still working for those companies. Some of them stopped working when these leases came and started doing restructuring, which affected them. So we are talking about people who are now jobless and are supposed to be relying on these monies that should be paid to them for survival. Again, in my statement, I had requested for payment arrears for farmers and suppliers who also worked for Sony Sugar. This one has never been mentioned by the Cabinet Secretary, Madam Speaker. So I am not satisfied. I would want the specific date given, number 1. Number 2, the amount is little, considering the beneficiaries. Again, I would want the ministry to address the issue of suppliers and farmers who are also waiting for their monies. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I know Honourable Wangwe, you wanted to comment.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, allow me to actually suggest that the Honourable Chair has tried to respond, yes, but there is more we would want him to add on. Especially, Honorable Speaker, remembering the report of the Committee on Finance, which we passed here in this House, which suggested the issue of privatization of the 4 mills together and then left out Mumias Sugar and said Mumias Sugar is to be treated on its own. It meant, Honorable Speaker, where the Honorable Chair was present in that committee together with myself, we suggested that the Mumias Sugar will be dealt at the Committee of Agriculture. I want him also, Honorable Speaker, to suggest that he also says what is the committee doing or what is the ministry doing with respect to the employees of Mumias Sugar. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I hope the Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Chairperson has noted those issues raised, and then you can take them into consideration. Would you like to say something?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the response from the CS is as per the Memorandum of Understanding. And the CS has specifically stated what was in the MOU and what the government has done. And so far, Honorable Speaker, if we may be fair to the government, the CS has indicated that 2.5 billion has been paid. And as per the MOU, the 2.5 billion has already, is what was captured in the MOU. What is remaining is 1.17. But, Honorable Speaker, there is an audit going on to establish the actual figure. During the presentation of the discussions, during the presentation by the Ministry of the supplementary budget, we noted that these arrears are growing exponentially, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you realize that they are multiplied by a huge factor. And that is why the audit was commissioned. It's only the audit that can tell us how much arrears they are going to be. And then we are looking at a situation where we might be calling for rescheduling of the arrears. But, Honorable Speaker, I'll take the comments of this House and the sentiments by the members to the ministry so that they can respond as appropriate. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Karoli.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I did ask a question about the leasing of the sugar mills, and no response was ever given. I've asked it a second time. So when I had this opportunity, please allow me just to ask 1 or 2 things or make some comments. Number one, we are dealing with liabilities that have already accrued. But this House has not been informed whether there was notice of transfer of business when leasing the sugar mills. Because there should have been a notice of transfer of business so that those who are owed money by the sugar mills would have come out to claim, whether they were lawyers, transporters, cane farmers, and the rest. We need to see in this House the lease agreements for the sugar mills. We have not seen that. We need to see the investment plans. Are the guys who have leased the mills going to put up new machinery? What are the timelines? When are they going to introduce new lines of business? But most importantly, we want to be advised how has the nucleus estate of these sugar mills been treated, the spare parts that were there, the inventories, the receivables, because people have walked into the sugar mills.
Honorable Kalori, just
Yes.
a minute, there's a point of order. What's your point of order?
Madam Speaker, as you have noted, the Honorable Karoli is making such issues of great gravity on matters that are of great concern to Kenyans. And I wanted to know, Madam Speaker, if he is properly in order to be riding on a comment, on a statement made, to make such groundbreaking comments that are of great concern to Kenyans. Madam Speaker, what Honorable Karoli is presenting, does that belong to a substantive motion or does it belong to a comment? Because even this House would be the better to benefit from the wisdom that is coming from Honorable Karoli on very important and critical issues that are of great import to this country, Madam Speaker. So kindly guide Madam Speaker, so that the comments that Honorable Karoli is making are not just lost as just comments in these proceedings. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
I will allow him to ventilate on the issue, provided, of course, if he's a responsible member, he will follow up with the committee when they are considering the issue.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. That was the spirit in which I was speaking, because it is a matter of public interest, and actually under Article 35, the entire investment package for the leases should have been presented to this House for members to interrogate. And the final question I was raising is we need to know how the nucleus estate of the leased sugar mills has been treated. Was there a valuation report? What about the inventories? What about the spare parts that were there? What about the investments that these companies have made? Because these are public interest issues. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
What I would advise, my Honorable Karoli, maybe you should do an independent statement seeking
already,
that information.
I've submitted 2 questions and they've never been brought to the floor of the House. I have 2 questions on these issues. Yes.
No, I don't. Usually, if they go to the Speaker's office, they approve the statement and brought here. Not as a question. As a statement, as a requesting information. But
they should stop their work, doing their work, and bring it here. We bring audited accounts here, we bring the agreements here, we bring the investment plans here. Honourable Speaker, let Honourable Karoli Omondi ask the question or request for a statement, and then the work will be done. Other than this House being engaged in this level of detail.
yes, okay, let's proceed, Honorable Karoli. You're properly guided. Yes, Honorable Karoli. I think now we can move to the next statement. We have a general statement by the member for Lamu East. Honorable Captain Rueda.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 43, I raise to make a general statement regarding the first birth certificate issued in Lamu East constituency.
Honorable Rueda. Recognize a school that's in the public gallery before they leave. I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of Kopala Secondary School from Nyatike constituency, Migori County. On behalf of myself and the National Assembly, we welcome you to the presence of Parliament. Okay, you may proceed. You can start again, Honorable Rueda.
Thank you, Mr. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 43, I raise to make a general statement regarding the first birth certificate issued in Lamu East constituency. Honorable Speaker, on Wednesday, 8th April 2026, Lamu East constituency recorded a significant milestone with the issuance of its first birth certificate within the constituency. The achievement is particularly noteworthy given the previously resident would travel long distance to Mokoi in Lamu West constituency to access birth registration service. Honorable Speaker, the decentralization of civil registration service to Lamu East constituency mark a remarkable step towards enhancing access to essential government services, promoting inclusivity, and safeguard the right of citizens. It will significantly reduce the burden of residents while improving the efficiency of the service delivery. It will also ease access of government service and enable registration for and access school capitation. Honorable Speaker, this development underscores the importance of continued investment in administrative infrastructure and service delivery at the grassroots level in the country. I therefore wish to recommend all government agencies who facilitated this historical milestone to ensure residents of Lamu East constituency are accorded the same service as the rest of Kenyans. Speaker, naomba kidogo nizungumze. Jambo hili ni muhimu sana, lakini halionekani muhimu kwa watu wengine. Mimi nikizungumzia leo kwamba stakabadhi za birth zinapatikana mwanzo kwetu, watu wanaona ni kitu gani hiyo, lakini kutoka uhuru upatikane Kenya, sisi watu wa Lamu Mashariki tumekuwa miaka yote tukienda Lamu West kuchukua birth certificate, na imekuwa ni gharama kubwa. Mtu akiunga anatoa 8,400 ndio apate birth certificate, lakini kwa watu wengine jambo hilo si lolote. Ndio maana alikuwa nasema wale ambao hawana heshima na rais wetu wangekaziwa wakae kwa baridi kwa miaka hilo bakia yote. Wakae kwa baridi ndio watakuwa na heshima kwa rais. Rais maendeleo yote anapeleka kwao na bado wana mdomo kwa sababu wameshiba. Ingekuwa vizuri rais asiwabembeleze tena. Wale wanatoa mdomo wakazio wasifanye maendeleo. Maendeleo ije kule kwetu ambao tuna heshima sisi. Kama mtu hana heshima naye akae hivyo hivyo asipate maendeleo. Wao wanaendelea kupata maendeleo mengi, sisi ndio maendeleo tunaanza sasa. Hiyo maendeleo ije kwetu. Watu wazima leaders lakini hawana heshima, anakosea president heshima. President asiende mwanzo huko kwao tena, aje huko kwetu. Tunamkaribisha aje huko kwetu inshallah. Asante.
Mpatie mic, give him to mic. Chonga, proceed, Honorable Chonga, then we'll give Honorable Zamzam.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi pia namuunga mkono sana Ruwaida Obo kwa yale maneno ambayo ameyasema kwa siku hii ya leo. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka kusema kitu kimoja. Historia haitafutika. Na nikisema historia haitafutika, tangu wakati wa Mheshimiwa hayati Jomo Kenyatta, marais wampita wengi, lakini siku ambayo Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto ndio anakuwa rais, ndio birth certificate ya kwanza imeanza kutoka katika Lamu, sehemu ambayo Mheshimiwa Ruwaida amesema. Na tunapongeza sana kwa shauri kule, ilikuwa watu wakipata shida mpaka mwisho ukenda ukifanywa vetting ati waambiwa uzungumze kwa lugha ya kule, wamkuta mtu wazungumza huyu mwana mkunzu na mtopoa ili ndio ujulikane zaidi kwa ati wewe ni mtu wa Lamu. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, siku hii ya leo nataka kusema mgala muue lakini haki yake umpe. Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto amfanya mambo ambayo wengine hawajayafanya. Leo katika sehemu hiyo mheshimiwa, watu walikuwa hawajaona hata lami. Lami ilikuwa mtu akiangalia aweza kufikiria kakimbia mbio akafikiri huyu ni mtu mweusi mrefu, kumbe lami. Lakini Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto amfanya kazi ile. Mheshimiwa Spika, nashukuru, nasema kuwa haya mambo ya vitambulisho si peke yake kuwa ati imetoka bathi ya kwanza. Watu wa vitambulisho waende kwenye maskuli Lamu, wawape watu vitambulisho watoto waliofika miaka 14 ndani ya Lamu katika mambo kama haya. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, katika kumalizia, kwa vile umenipa nafasi ya kuona kuwa niweze kuongea, nachukua fursa hii Mheshimiwa Spika kutuma rambirambi zangu kwa rafiki yangu sana Mheshimiwa rafiki yangu sana MD wa KPA Captain Ruto kwa kupoteza mtoto wake, na kumwambia kuwa awe na subira na yale ambayo ameweza kumpata ni mpango wa Mwenyezi Mungu, na sisi tuko pamoja na yeye. Na leo tunasema yeye ni mtu ambaye alikuwa akipeleka bandari kwa njia ambayo ni ya sawa. Amepata msiba ule, si msiba wake peke yake. Mheshimiwa ndugu yetu Captain Ruto, msiba ule ni msiba wetu sote. Mungu amweke mahali pema peponi mtoto wako ambaye tutakuja kumzika huko Nakuru. Asante na Mwenyezi Mungu atubariki.
Thank you Mheshimiwa Twalib. Mheshimiwa Zamzam.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi niweze kumpongeza dadangu Ruwaida, na kwanza awali nimpongeze Mheshimiwa Rais kwa kuweza kuona wapwani ni wa Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, sisi tulikuwa tumetengwa miaka mingi sana, hata vitambulisho ilikuwa ni shida. Mtu umeolewa, umezaa watoto, una vijukuu, lakini kitambulisho una, kwa sababu hata birth certificate yenyewe huwezi kupata. Kwa hiyo leo sisi tunaona fahari kubwa, watu wanaweza kuona nini birth certificate, nini kitambulisho, kwa sababu kuna maendeleo mengine makubwa. Lakini hicho ndio chanzo cha mtu kujulikana ni Mkenya halisi, akahesabika na akaweza kupata maendeleo mengine. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi kitu nataka nimwambie Rais, watu watapiga kelele wengi sana, wewe kaza buti, shika kasi, tuko nyuma yako na tunakusukuma uende mbele na wala hatuwezi kurudi nyuma. Na nikirudi pale ambapo Mheshimiwa Badi amezungumza, MD wa port Ruto, sisi tunampa rambirambi zetu za pole. Ni ndugu yangu, na mimi nasema mtoto wetu Jelimo, Mwenyezi Mungu amweke na wema peponi. Ni amri ya Mungu, lakini na yeye pamoja na familia yake waweze kupoa, na sisi tutakwenda na Mheshimiwa Badi kwenye mazishi. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Mheshimiwa Raso first.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Rueda for her statement. I think for those of us who are minorities, who come from distant places, and people who are generally marginalized, and they don't form the mainstream communities of Kenya, I think it is this time we are properly identifying ourselves as to be true Kenyans. As the patron of the Pastoralist Parliamentary Group, it is this government that has said all Kenyans, irrespective of where they come from, must get an ID card and birth certificate. Because without an ID card, you cannot make any transaction in Kenya. Opening a bank statement, going to college, basically you are a stateless citizen. What Honorable Rueda there is saying, there are small things that we take for granted. But for others, it is like an earthquake. You can imagine 60-something years after independence that the people of Lamu can get a birth certificate. It is 60-something years after independence that a young Borana boy from Marsabit can go to registration office to get an ID card without being told, bring your grandfather, bring your grandmother, bring their ID cards, bring their death certificates. I think Kenya is changing under William Samoei Arap Ruto. We must appreciate what is happening. There is a lot of grit that people are throwing around, that Ruto is one term, Ruto is not doing enough. If there's a president who has worked tirelessly for this country since independence, I think this is the president. And as Kenyans, we must appreciate. Some of us, without fear of any contradiction, I think we are unafraid to say that we elected the right man to lead this country, this time in the 21st century. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Member for Dagoretti, Honorable KJ.
Bi Speaker, na ningependa nimpongeze sana Mheshimiwa Rueda wa kutoka kule Lamu kwa kuwa jambo kama hili ambalo analisema ni jambo ambalo linahusu Wakenya wote, kwamba kunayo maeneo ya nchi hii ambayo yameweza kufanikiwa kupata bahati ya kupata rais wa kwanza, maeneo haya yakapata rais wa tatu, kisha yakapata rais wa nne. Lakini kelele hiyo ambayo Mheshimiwa Rueda anasema, ningependa nimjulishe kwamba ni kelele ambayo inajulikana kama kelele ya chura, ambayo haiwezi ikamzuia ng'ombe kunywa maji. Kwamba hata kwenye maeneo hayo ambayo anayoyataja, wananchi wa maeneo haya wanaweza kujionea maendeleo ambayo hatujawahi kuyaona tangu nchi ya Kenya iwe huru, tangu dunia ilipoumbwa, Mheshimiwa Speaker. Kwamba hata wale ambao wanatajwa na Mheshimiwa Rueda wanashangaa kwamba mabarabara kama yale ya Mau Mau ambayo yalikuwa yamekwama kwenye maeneo yetu, maeneo hayo yamekwamuliwa, Mheshimiwa Speaker. Bi Speaker, kwamba nchi ambayo ilikuwa haiwezi ikalipa madeni yake kwa sababu ilikuwa imejikanganya kwa madeni, nchi hiyo imeweza kuanza kulipa madeni yake. Mheshimiwa Speaker, hata kwa maeneo hayo ambayo wengine wetu tunatoka, kuna yale ambayo tumekuwa tukiyadai tangia nchi ilipobuniwa, lakini mpaka wa leo hayajatimizwa. Jambo ambalo na kuunga mkono Mheshimiwa Rueda ni kwamba vile ambavyo ungependa Lamu iwe inafanikiwa, vile ungependa Lamu iwe inaendelea mbele, hata sisi wengine wa Kenya Tungependa eneo zetu ziendelee mbele hivyo, na tumweleze Mheshimiwa Rais kwamba kelele hii ya chura isimzuie kunywa maji kama yeye ni ng'ombe. Nimalizie Bi Speaker kwa kusema kwamba viongozi wa nchi lazima wataheshimu itikadi na mila zetu, kwamba ikijia masuala kama mambo ya mazishi, Mheshimiwa Spika, mazishi ni sisi kwenda kuomboleza na jamii ambazo zinaomboleza, wala sisi tukiwa wanasiasa hatuwezi tukabadilisha kwamba mazishi yawe ni jukwaa la kisiasa. Ningependa niseme kwamba ni aibu kubwa tumeiona leo ambapo tulikuwa tunamsindikiza ndugu yetu ambaye ni mheshimiwa mmoja wetu ambaye ni wa kule Olkalau. Mambo ambayo tumeyaona Mheshimiwa Spika, nikitumia sauti hiyo ya Mheshimiwa Roida, ningependa niyakemee kwa kuwa mazishi ni ya jamii, wengine ni waombolezaji, na siasa haina nafasi yoyote kwenye mazishi yoyote ama vita vya ubabe kwenye mazishi. Mheshimiwa Spika, nampongeza Mheshimiwa Roida kwa maendeleo hayo ambayo yanapatikana Lamu. Tunadai hayo maendeleo Kenya nzima. Asante sana Bi Speaker.
Honorable Member for Dagoretti North, Beatrice Elachi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allowed me to thank, Madam Speaker, sorry, to allow me to thank Raider, Honorable Raider of Lamu East. Madam Speaker, this issue of IDs, the women of this country are the ones who have suffered most. You realize when you are a woman, a young girl who got married at the age of 16, you will struggle so much to just get an ID. You will struggle so much for your children to get birth certificates, especially if you got married and then decided this was not my right time and left. And so you find women in the slums, even to date, we will have to go and really struggle to really request the officers to just understand this woman. Why is it she's in her age of 20, 21, 25 and does not have a national ID? And so one of the things we must do as we even look at the statement of Raider, Madam Speaker, is to ask government that any woman who got married underage and is now a mother, does not have a national ID, must be allowed to go and get a national ID. Not with the husband's ID, I don't know what those things they ask, but she can go back home and ask the father's ID and let her register as a Kenyan, just to get that ID to help her. Number two, Madam Speaker, children from the borders of Busia, I find them, so many of them in Dagoretti North, they also struggle with that issue of ID because they come from the borders. And it's not just them, even the children of women who have been given birth in the borders of Taveta, they go through the same challenge. Any border line where we have Kenyans, you find those Kenyans really struggling. So for me, first, I want to thank His Excellency, the President, on this matter of ID. It's not a joke. And let us agree, one of the mistakes we did in this country is that when you are not aligned to government, they denied you everything that was needed. And that is one thing we did even during election time. If you are not aligned with the president that you want, Madam Speaker, there will be no ID in that region. And so, for the first time, IEBC is in the estates. Can people go and register? So that you don't just say, oh, I will remove. There is nothing like removing any person. You must plan. You must strategize. And if that person knows how to plan and to put things in order, he will win. It's not about the numbers you see all over where we go for rallies and we are doing all this. It is 1 week to an election that tells you that person is winning or losing. The rest, we can play drama, we can do all these things. But one thing I like about the president and how I wish one day I can stand firm. Firm. Because one of the weaknesses we have is not standing firm. We must learn one thing from the president, Daktari William Samoei Ruto, that you must stand firm when you have been given responsibility to build a nation. And this nation is not about joking with the nation, because I see everyone just talking. I want to tell everyone going to talk shows and everyone, prepare to come to the ground and be elected for you to come and do better than I did. That should be the agenda. That should be the best way. But just abusing and doing, and you're not coming, but you know every day how Kenya can move, please come and show it in example, implement what you're telling us. But do not just tell us and then run away when the ball is now in the court, when we need you to come and compete and tell Kenyans what you want. That should be the agenda, Madam Speaker. Change the mindset on how we see things. Because Mheshimiwa Kiaraho never ever, but more importantly, help us to be leaders who focus beyond what we believe in, what we think is right as our tribe, but Kenya should be our tribe. Kenya should be where we focus. I appreciate the president does not care whether you'll abuse him, but he will bring maendeleo, because he is the president. He is supposed to develop the nation, not to follow what we are saying. I beg to support, Madam Speaker.
The last person I'll give a chance to ride on this is Honorable Malungu.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity that I can also ride on this statement, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, what Captain Rueda has just been able to articulate on, Madam Speaker, are things that are quite common and things that actually happen in this country. You know, when you hear sections of this country that were forgotten, sections of this country that were designed to be sections that don't belong to this country, Madam Speaker, and to get good reports like we've had today, Madam Speaker, this is something that one should actually applaud. She's talked about a birth registration center, Madam Speaker. I know the pain our mamas go through in trying to acquire a basic requirement like a birth certificate, Madam Speaker. And therefore, the fact that the great people of Lamu East can actually be able to access a birth certificate at a nearby area, Madam Speaker, is something that we should all applaud, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the same note, Rwanda constituency is one such constituency that never had a birth certificate, Madam Speaker. My people will travel all the way from Rwanda town, a place known as Ochore, or a place known as Munungo, all the way to Mbale to acquire a basic right like a birth certificate, Madam Speaker. This afternoon, Madam Speaker, I want to declare in this House that 2 weeks ago, we were actually accredited to have a birth registration center in Rwanda, Madam Speaker. That to me is a move that actually should be applauded. Because never again will my great ladies, men and women, travel all that far to acquire a basic document like a birth registration certificate. We are aware that nowadays to register a kid in a school, you need to have this document. Long before, Madam Speaker, people will just walk into a school, into a class, put your hand over your head and enter into a school. Nowadays, you need to have a document that ensures that you also capture the enemies. And therefore, I join in saying that we celebrate the government, and I want to celebrate the government today for having given Rwanda a birth registration center that never had, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, apart from that, we've also seen great developments happening, not only in Lamu, but also in my place where I am, Madam Speaker, and many other places around this country. And Swahili people say that mgema muue na haki fanya nini? Mpe. So I believe, Madam Speaker, that's actually what we should say. Let us just appreciate the same, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I come from Western Kenya. For many years, our people have perished and slept on the road from Nairobi here all the way to Western Kenya, Madam Speaker. Right now, people are celebrating that we are now having the greatest corridor from Rironi all the way to Mount Summit, which will actually ease
187 across the country. And Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, the majority of these members of parliament have established TTIs in their constituencies. And so they have contributed to the middle level management in institutions. This institution that is being established, the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, that will be established at Konza City. This is the equivalent of the MITs in the US, the Korea Advanced Science, Korea Institute of Science, KAIST of South Korea. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, this is a serious feat in terms of development of this country. Madam Speaker, this is a university which will be offering postgraduate degrees. And it is expected that the students who will be admitted to this university at Konza City, Madam Speaker, and we are not speaking about a university that is intended to be established. As we speak, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, this university has already been constructed. It is fully in place for members of parliament who want to visit. In fact, my committee, the Committee on Delegated Legislation, will be visiting this university next week on Wednesday. We are informed reliably, including the chair himself of ICT committee, that the university has been established on 14 acres, Madam Speaker, fully constructed. In fact, the government of South Korea has already seconded 7 professors for the 7 thematic areas that this university will be offering to the prospective students who will be admitted, not only from Kenya, but from across the world. And so we have 7 professors already in residence at Konza, Madam Speaker, from KAIST from the same institute in South Korea. So we expect this to be the only university in Africa that is offering postgraduate degrees in this region. So, Madam Speaker, the establishment of this institute is a major milestone towards the development of innovation and research in line with the National Research Fund Strategic Plan 2023 to 2027 and Vision 2030, and also the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The proposed university, Madam Speaker, is anchored on a postgraduate academic model designed to position Kenya and the broader African region as a competitive hub for advanced learning in research and innovation. The institute is set to commence with 7 flagship postgraduate programs, that is Masters and PhD, in the following disciplines, Madam Speaker. Number 1 would be medical engineering, nuclear engineering, Madam, mechanical engineering. Number 2, nuclear engineering. Number 3, electrical and electronic engineering. Number 3, civil and environmental engineering. Number 5, ICT engineering. Number 6, chemical engineering. And the last one, agrobiotechnology engineering, Madam Speaker. These are courses that are not ordinarily offered by all the other universities, which now number about 70 across this country. The institute aims at building a critical mass of scientists and engineers who will advance research and development. As you know, Madam Speaker, there is no country which can develop without scientists, and particularly who are involved in research. As you know, and I know one of the most interested persons on this topic, Madam Speaker, is the Honorable Nyikal, the chair of the Committee of Health. You remember when sometimes at the peak of the outbreak of HIV/AIDS, we discovered some medicine at that time called, was it called Chemron? Yeah, Chemron. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, because we did not have this university, a university of similar nature, we were not able to advance, and ours was declared to have not met the international standards. I hope when we move the next, without anticipating debate in the next motion or next order paper, in which we'll speak to that issue. You know, for us to be able to advance research in this nation, we need to have such an institute, Madam Speaker, that is well advanced in digital and research skills, which will enable our own students to be very competitive in line with the evolving labor market demands, and also in line with the bottom-up transformational agenda. The Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology will also promote collaboration with the private sector to facilitate technology transfer, which we have talked about. I mean, I studied this, and you studied also in the university, and we keep talking about technology transfer. And this university will ensure that this comes into fruition, and also support research, training, and development, and further strengthen workforce competitiveness. Madam Speaker, we have not been competitive in research issues because we have not had a university that is dedicated to postgraduate research. In scrutinizing the draft charter, Madam Speaker, of this institute, the committee made the following observations and noted, in particular, the following significant and important salient features of the charter. Number one, the cabinet approved this charter on the 11th of March 2025 and for the establishment of this institute. Number two, the Commission on University Education subjected the institute to an accreditation process and confirmed that it had met all minimum statutory and academic requirements prescribed by the Commission. And finally, that the institute will advance digital and research skills, thus enhancing employability in line with the evolving labor market demands, and as I've just said, in line also with the bottom-up transformational agenda and Vision 2030. Madam Speaker, the committee, we are happy therefore to report to this House that this committee recommended, the Committee on Delegated Legislation recommends that this House approves the draft charter for the establishment of the Kenya Institute of Science and Technology, and as it complies with the Constitution and all the other enabling legislations, Madam Speaker, which includes the Universities Act. And we had the opportunity, Madam Speaker, to meet the Commission on University Education, and they confirmed that this university will be a unique university, and which we need to approve as soon as we can, Madam Speaker. And so I beg to move and request the former Minister for Internal Security, the Honorable Sunguli, to second.
Madam Speaker, in seconding this important motion, I wish to first state that as a Committee of Delegated Legislation, our primary responsibility was to look at the Charter to see if it complied with the law and the Constitution. And we want to confirm that we had a tooth-comb analysis of this Charter. We looked at it, and it is fully compliant with the law, and it's compliant with the Constitution. As far as the substance of the Charter is concerned, Madam Speaker, there are two things about the Kenya, this Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, the Kenya style, because it also exists in another country, but this is ours. It is, first of all, it is a unique university, and it's unique in two ways. First, this university is only going to offer graduate studies, not undergraduate studies. So you only go there to get a postgraduate degree, either a master's or a PhD. That is a unique part of this university. Secondly, it is a specialized university. Our able chairman has just stated that it is areas that have not been emphasized before, like the nuclear studies, like more advanced postgraduate in mechanization. And Madam Speaker, this special university is supposed to serve the interest of Kenya as we advance our journey towards the 2030 and even beyond ambition. Madam Speaker, these things, this new university will also be backed by industry a lot, Because one of the important things in any industry is R&D, the research and development. And you know, if we emphasize research and development in our studies, we are going to get better product, and we are going to get, in Kenya, we are going to get industrialized much easier than if we continue doing the things the way we are doing today. The mere fact that it is heavily backed by Korea also in terms of its approach and in fact its personnel shows that Kenya is borrowing from the best. So we want to benchmark ourselves against universities like MIT and also the Korea IST. Madam Speaker, in saying this, this institute will also ensure that our universities actually find teachers, actually find professors. Where are we training our people if we don't get this kind of institute? We want to emphasize on this so that we can be able to train. But Madam Speaker, I want to say one thing. This university is not a run-of-the-mill university. In our country now, and I want to urge honorable members, we are merely establishing some universities for the sake of having a university. Every member of parliament nowadays is asked by his constituents to have a campus of a university in their backyard. And it's a university that is not going to do anything different from the university that is already next door. Why do you want our university next to your house? Who would want to go to Kilgore's university if it is not a specialized one? Why wouldn't you want to go to a university that actually will make a difference in your life? This idea that we are now establishing, we are asking government, put a university in my village, put a university in my village. That is not the way to go. The way to go is this one. A university that will be established should be a university that will make a difference, like this university that is going to emphasize on our innovation, that is going to emphasize on R&D. Let the universities be different. And lastly, Madam Speaker, let us do as much as possible to keep our diplomas, to keep our artisans away from in their specialized area, not in the university. So let the Rift Valley Institute of Science and Technology be the best institute of technology in producing artisans and specialists in a certain level. But let those who go to this institute called IST be those who have already undertaken these degrees already in an undergraduate level and are now prepared to go to a specialized university. Madam Speaker, I beg to second.
I now propose that this House, the question that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the draft charter for the establishment of the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 7th April 2026, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 24(1) of the Universities Act, Cap 210 of the laws of Kenya, this House approves the award of the charter for the establishment of the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. Yes, Honorable KJ, you can go at first go. And members who want to contribute, you can press the intervention button.
Madam Speaker, I must first start by thanking this committee and its honorable chair for bringing this to the floor of the House in such a timely manner, Madam Speaker, because what we are prosecuting this afternoon, which is their report on the consideration of the draft charter for the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, which we are fondly calling Kenya IST, is so timely, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the institute that we are speaking about today has already been established, it has been built, and it sits as an icon for advanced training in engineering, science, and technology, Madam Speaker. But Madam Speaker, I must also start by mentioning that while we are having Kenya IST, KIST as an idea is not a new idea. We are borrowing from a country called South Korea, Madam Speaker, where there is a Korean Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. And Madam Speaker, we only need to see what has happened in Korea for us to appreciate what has been set up at Konza, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this institution shall be seeking to train Kenyans and Africans in advanced science and technology in fields that have been enumerated, Madam Speaker, including mechanical engineering, nuclear engineering, electrical and electronic engineering, civil and environmental engineering, ICT engineering, chemical engineering, Madam Speaker, and even agrobiotechnology engineering, not only for Kenya, not only for the East African region, but for the entire continent, Madam Speaker. Why this becomes so important, Madam Speaker, is because today we are reading the news, Madam Speaker. We are watching what is happening in America. We are watching what is happening in the Western world, Madam Speaker. We are also seeing what is happening on this drive that is going against the development that was leading us towards a united world, Madam Speaker. And so each country has to start thinking independently on how they shall be developing their talent. And I think on this one, Kenya gets it very right, Madam Speaker, that we shall be producing the people who in the future shall be the proponents for the development not only of country, but also of Africa, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, I speak this authoritatively, looking at what is happening in South Korea, Madam Speaker. The KAIST University in Korea is responsible for these amazing developments that we talk about of the rising Asian tigers. What we have seen Korea do in mechanics, in engineering, in the development of automobiles, Mr. Speaker. What Korea is doing in the development in technology, what they are doing in computing, Mr. Speaker, has to be celebrated, but it can also be fully credited to KAIST, the Korea Advanced Institute for Science and Technology. And so, Mr. Speaker, as I acknowledge the change of guard on the seat, Mr. Speaker, this motion that has been brought here for us to consider the draft charter is so important because we shall be remembering as a house that the 13th Parliament okayed for us to have an advanced institute for science and technology. And 30 years from today, Mr. Speaker, I can tell you for sure the products of Kenya ICT shall be defining the future not only for country, but also for the continent. Mr. Speaker, I must add that at the inception, Kenya must also look at countries that are succeeding in the training of science and technology. We ought to learn from what is happening from the rising tigers of Asia. We have to look and ask ourselves, what is this that is happening in China? We must also look, Mr. Speaker, and ask ourselves, what is this that European countries are doing when they are changing their long existing laws to be true to the time and space that we are living in today, knowing that the world is a completely new world and it is calling for completely new skills. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, I do stand to support this report on the consideration of the draft charter for Kenya ICT, an institution that we who are in sector are really celebrating because we know the revolution that is just about to happen in technological training in this country. Mr. Speaker, I will end it by saying this, that even as we are training the young people in the areas of science and technology, we have to remind our young people that Africa led in science and technology long before the world learned how to read. It is always forgotten that Africa was a leader in science and technology. We always imagine that what we borrowed from the greats, Plato and all these geniuses from the Greek, from Greece, Mr. Speaker, we always want to accredit all education to the Europeans. But we forget that even the greats themselves had to come to Africa and learn. And it is out of what they learned after raiding our universities in North Africa, after raiding our universities in West Africa, after raiding the universities of this area and raiding the universities of Zimbabwe. It is only then that they were able to develop that which we are taught today, and it is attributed to Plato and the boys. It is attributed to all these other names that they put in their textbooks. But the truth be told, that the establishment of Kenya ICE is bringing science back home where it belonged. That when man learned how to walk upright, when man learned how to manage the environment in Africa, it is only then that man developed into science and technology, and some of the most advanced technological advancements are in this continent, Mr. Speaker, and the pyramids of Egypt bear me witness that up to date, even with Western technology and education, the white man is yet at pains to explain how we were able to build a pyramid that is in perfect alignment to not only other pyramids that have been set up around the world, but also in perfect alignment to the arrangement of stars and other heavenly bodies. At a time when people want to tell us that Africa was primitive, Africans were already in great commune, not only with their environment, not only with their globe, but also with the universe, Mr. Speaker. And so, for me, this is a great day when we debate this draft charter for Kenya Advanced Institute for Science and Technology, knowing full well that today we are starting Africa on a great scientific exploration that will lead to great scientific discoveries that shall be born right here in the motherland, in Africa, education developed in Africa, in a place called Konza. And so, Honorable Speaker, I do stand to support this report, and I do ask members to see the great advancement that is in this Kenya ICE and support this draft charter so that we can go ahead and have it acknowledged by the President so that training in science and technology can start at Kenya ICE. Mr. Speaker, I thank you so much.
Very well said, the Honorable KJ. This chance is now for the Honorable Member for Dagoretti North, the Honorable Biti Selachi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Mutunga. You know, I don't like being bullied. When the Speaker left the seat, she said, those who want to contribute to press intervention. The first person on that intervention today is Honorable Biti Selachi, followed by the Honorable Mutunga, then Oundo, then Wandeto. It will go that way.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to really appreciate and thank the Committee of Delegated for bringing this report into the House. Mr. Speaker, you remember the vision of this Kenya Advanced Institute Science and Technology was muted way back in 2008. So I want to thank the late His Excellency Mwai Kibaki and the late Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga for muting this vision. It was their vision. And Mr. Speaker, we delayed. And then in 2019, the plans to build was publicly announced. And we moved on, but we want to thank His Excellency the President because in 2022 is when he formally established now this idea, a dream to now come out for Kenyans to understand why we need a Kenya Advanced Science and Technology University. And Mr. Speaker, in 2023 to 2025, they've been able to construct and finish. So in 2026, we are waiting for operationalization to see now university students coming in. But more importantly, we need to thank that we are now partnering with KAIST, which is the Korean Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. I can tell you they are very strong globally. It is always ranked among the best universities in the world on issues of nuclear, robotics, and I can tell you, if indeed we are going to see our students join this university, I tell you we will have the best in the proposed flagship Masters of Mechanical Engineering in Robotics, Electrical, Electric, and many people always wonder, what is electric, what is electronics? Electric is dealing with generators, with our transformers, with issues of power generation. But then electronic, that we will have our students learning now how to deal with smartphones, microchips, embedded systems, and many others. And so for us, in this house, we should really, really be proud to say that if we can have this launched in 2026, among the many things we have done in this house, and this house has really passed many things, Mr. Speaker, we've unlocked a lot for the country. As much as people will say we are jokers, but one thing I leave, after joining Parliament when I was in Senate in 2013, and this 13th Parliament, we shall be remembered for unlocking Kenya in many ways, in many sectors. And so, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge now the young people, focus, those who are engineers, just go and do your masters. Electromagnetism, telecommunications, nuclear power. We are looking for people who can help us within the medical sector. When we talk of radiation, when we talk of safety, we really need to have our people trained in this. And so, Mr. Speaker, I am hoping that we will take advantage. If there is a university that is good in AI, it's this University of Korea. It is among the best. If there is a university that you can learn how to deal with safety of radiation, radiology of cancer, it is this university. So for me, while I support the report, I am supporting the report because I know this is going to really change the whole idea of how we look at things, how we look at science. And we've been very low in research. You realize most of the universities have gone really down. And therefore, that bill of education, we need to really do the amendment to reorganize back the structures of our education system, the way they used to be those days. And I'm hoping we shall never change a university based on their charter just to make it a university. That is where we went wrong on the education system in higher education. And so when we find ourselves with CBE, let us try and reorganize back the system. If it is diploma, let them go to TVET. Certificate, let them start at the right level. Let university be university. People will say, oh, it will be unique, it will be special. It is supposed to be special because that is where the minds and the brains must go for this country. So we cannot run away from that. But the most important thing, all of this are our children. If a child will want to advance and get to university, let them start at the right level. Let them move. And I can tell you, we'll find ourselves going back to the days when you entered university and you will feel you've come to learn. Today, I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, when you look at the way we are doing, even when we go back for our parallels, we wonder. We ask ourselves whether this is the same university we went through, you know? And I'm hoping we can also reorganize the infrastructure in the universities, that they can have and enjoy the way we enjoyed. We used to have a good mess for food. You know, we've just left our children. That's why even they wonder, how are we moving to this world to take care of Kenya? How? Yet when they go out and see the other universities across the world, there is a huge difference. So we must reorganize. It is unfortunate when you see the dorms, even when I pass at Cheromo, when I pass here at the university, and you look at where our children are sleeping, and you wonder, this was the hostel those days when you entered. You respected that hostel. Today, the curtain is the bed cover. In fact, and the window is gone. Painting is no longer there. The university looks worse than where the child came from high school. In high school, CDF has helped the schools. they are looking better. This university looks, you even wonder, have they gone for knowledge? Have they gone for torture? What are they gone for? And so even as the university, we cry for lecturers, it is time we cry for the infrastructure to be redone. We are doing affordable housing. Let those who are doing affordable housing go and do social corporate programs just to reorganize the universities also. It is important for our own children, for them to understand when you are at the university and you've come from Turkana, there is a difference. Not the way we see the things we see today. So, Mr. Speaker, I know this will be a very unique university, but also let us not turn it around and make it a profitable university where now the poor cannot afford to go and do their masters. Let us not try and do that also. Let us make it a university of merit. That I've come from JKUAT, I'm an engineer, I can go there and just do my masters. Let us not make it again a profitable university. So, Mr. Speaker, as I finalize, I just want to plead with the university management teams. You have land, you have property, you can also think how to use this property, Mr. Speaker, to reorganize back the universities. You know, it is unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, every time when you look at how we are bailing out universities, you feel very sad. So with those remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to support.
Well said. Honorable Mutunga, that's your chance now.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this motion. Honorable Speaker, I wish to thank the committee for this great idea of starting this Institute of Advanced Science and Technology. Honorable Speaker, right from the outset, I would like us to consider the title. Honorable, the title reads, Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. I want to read that title once more. Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. My understanding here, Honorable Speaker, what would be advanced here is the form and not the function. We could rename this as a house and be better placed into Kenya Institute of Advanced Science and Technology. Because what is advanced here is not the infrastructure of that particular institution, it is the content or what goes on in that institution. So now, Speaker, I propose that as we wind up this particular debate, we could also consider the title. And let's not just adopt any title from anywhere, because we also are thinking. The second issue, Honorable Speaker.
Where's the Honorable Chepkonga?
Honorable Speaker, I have spoken with Honorable Chepkonga on the sign lines, and he concurred with my
I hope you're taking notes on that issue. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Honorable Speaker, the reason why, let me just say one or two things about this. Honorable Speaker, we would like to consider many things about this institution. And one of them is the qualifying characteristics to the institution. How do we do the vetting? Honorable Speaker, in my presumption, we should look at what is one planning to advance in, not what degree do I want to have. What proof of, what evidence does one have that they can now proceed to do genetic engineering, medical engineering, and so on and so forth. So, Honorable Speaker, the qualification needs to be properly looked into, because every university has got its own character. The particular character I'm thinking about in this particular university is that this is a university that is going to advance technological development and innovation. So it will be an innovation center. This is where people will be thinking about innovations, they will be looking at the future of science in the world. And unless we challenge the brain on our speaker, we cannot come up with innovation. A good innovator looks at what is new and different. And in that respect, on our speaker, we need a very thorough vetting process to give merit the chance to allow students or learners to join this university. Honorable Speaker, it should be an all-round university. We have listed several. There is absolutely nothing wrong in advancing even in social sciences so that we can innovate the science of the social science of the future. This being an innovation center, we can look at how do we then, or probably we mandate those who will be charged with the responsibility of running this particular institution with the responsibility to look at how advancement can be interpreted in the context of this particular institution. Madam Speaker, we should also desist from the multiplier effect that Kenyans normally think about. When a business appears successful, when an idea appears to work, when an innovation appears to work, it is multiplied in this country. People multiply very quickly. Right now, we have close to 100 universities in this country. Everybody wants to put up a university to offer degrees. And the quality should be the overriding factor. And here, we're not looking at the quality of the degree, it's the quality of innovation. And there must be some standard to measure the quality of innovation. So, we should have only this and protect this as the only institution in the country that is going to be vetting highly skilled personnel and extremely good ideas so that we can allow innovation to take the center stage. Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, in this particular institution, we are considering it as the clearinghouse. We should be able to look at it as also the clearinghouse. Honourable Speaker, there is a lot that is not clear in the world today. As a country, we may want to clear certain things. This house has belabored on certain issues, and we have never gotten a backup. We have no backup plan. We have no institution we can say, when this institution has spoken, the best mind or the best, the idea has been fully and competitively verified. So we should look at this university or this institution as the clearinghouse for the many ideas or the many issues that we have to deal with. I'm calling it so, Honourable Speaker, because we have had 2 instances in this house in the biological sciences where we have had issues. One of them has had to do with genetic engineering and biotechnology for that matter. And Honourable Speaker, we should regard this particular institution, the statement from this institution, it should be developed to such a level whereby a statement from this institution is the law, is finite. It has been thoroughly verified, thoroughly looked at, and properly, judged, and therefore we should be able to believe. Because we waste a lot of time, Honourable Speaker, going to and fro over things that have worked elsewhere. So we could also consider it as a verification center for what we think ought to be verified or looked into in terms of whether it is working or not. Honourable Speaker, looking at the centrality of this institution in the map of Kenya, I find, where it is placed as central enough. If we take care of the software properly, then we can be able to get an institution that will measure up to the expectations and that will also measure up to the standards of that particular institution. And also it is with those few remarks that I propose adoption of this particular.
Because you're an academic, before you go.
Yes.
And I've had a debate this afternoon. We had something called Kenya Science.
Yes.
Then we had the Kenya Polytechnic. How do you guard against this institution they're setting up? How do you guard against what happened to those 2 institutions? Because they're also specialized.
Honourable Speaker, what you have done to our institutions is allow them to do anything. Kenya Science started in training, sorry to use, I don't want to be specific on discipline because I'll brand Kenyans. But Honourable Speaker, it was not a pure science institution. It became an all-round. And I think because of wanting numbers and because of lack of capacity to run in terms of having enough money, enough budget, then institutions open up too much. We are saying this one should be preserved, properly funded.
Mutunga, Kenya Science didn't have that problem. They just made it a university. That's what they did.
Yeah, they made it a university.
They made Kenya Science University. They made Kenya Polytechnic University. How do you protect this from also being inflated by those things you're talking about?
Honourable Speaker, what I'm trying to say is that Kenya Science was a mid-level institution. It was not offering degrees. It was offering technical training. And even the other one was also offering technical level training. This is an advanced level, postgraduate level. If somebody wants to go and do a master's in this particular institution, you should come up with an idea that is leading to an innovation. You should convince the board of admission that you are going to come up with an innovation. You are not just going to come up with a degree. And that is the level at which you should look at it, Honourable Speaker. Thank you very much.
This is just for now for, is it Dr. or Mr. Wilberforce Owundo? Professor Owundo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. By the good work of myself and for the prayers of the people of Funyula, before I came here, I had read acquired a PhD from the University of Nairobi. Nowhere else. Nowhere else. Honorable Speaker, let me also join my colleagues in supporting the report of the Committee of Legislation on Kenya, establishment of the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology in this country. Honorable Speaker, this idea was mooted very, very many years back as part of the Vision 2030 under the able hands of none other than President Emilio Mwai Kibaki. Honorable Speaker, it has taken long to actualize, like many other brilliant projects, ideas he had, and now we have a physical campus, we are told, at Konza Technopolis. Honorable Speaker, the very idea of advanced institute reads towards extreme level specialization. Extreme level specialization that probably due to the nature of the standard universities might not be able to reach at that point because of some other challenges here and there. Honorable Speaker, we in the academics, before we came here, there has always been one challenge all over, that many times the general degrees are too general to equip the students with diverse skills and knowledge to survive in a multiplicity environment, a multifaceted environment. As you go to the master's level, Honorable Speaker, you start now to hone up your idea or your level or specialization. At PhD level, Honorable Speaker, you have taken one particular path, but then you are trained mostly on matters of research, innovation, to enable you change in this society. Honorable Speaker, we have had a challenge in this country. There has been a rush. Even anybody, I have nothing against anybody. Even those people, or some who even could not pass exams in Form 4. Yes, there are those exceptional cases. Somehow find their way through the line, and that's why, Honorable Speaker, it gets to a certain point, they become paper academicians, if at all. They make no innovation, they make no innovation in this country. Honorable Speaker, I want to echo the sentiment of Dr. Mutunga. This institute you are creating, it should not be for every Tom, Dick, and Harry. It should be surely their progression to that institute must go through thorough vetting, so that wherever we are taking there, we are taking people who are interested in research, invention, and innovations. We are not going just taking people there who basically probably just want to become lecturers or paper academicians. We know in this country, Honorable Speaker, and this has happened, you would find somebody who has a master's degree, but give him a pen and paper without a phone or a dictionary, they cannot construct a sentence. Simply why? Everybody is now buying papers, alleging they are buying papers. Honorable Speaker, there is no way, in normal circumstances, you could take, during our times, you could take less than 3 years to do a PhD. Nowadays, we see people sit in government offices, within a few years or one, they are brought papers seated there, and then they go to the graduation square. Even if you ask them take us through even any research technique, they have no idea at all. We have people who simply do other things, and all of a sudden, people you knew very well, they have no brains. All of a sudden, you hear they have a master's. So even if you challenge them in their area of study, they will simply dismiss you because they cannot sustain an academic argument. We must reset our mindset in this country. We got to a point that some jobs required a certain level. For example, especially in public sector, for you to be promoted required a master's degree. Many went and bought those master's degrees, and that's why you find we continuously have challenges. Challenges in service delivery in this country. Honorable Speaker, as we speak about technology, we had a very good model, Honorable Speaker. Some, like Dr. Nyekal here, during their days, they were technical schools. So somebody who has got an affinity in technology would go straight to technical schools and go that way, up to the way he would come to Kenya Polytechnic. It is sad, because everybody now wanted a university. We wanted to churn out mass to join the labor market. We even turned very specialized polytechnic, like this Kenya Polytechnic, into a university, even now starting teaching food and beverage and music. How? Yet when you used to see the equipment the university, the Kenya Polytechnic had, it's just a terrible waste of resources, Honorable Speaker. We must go back. And I just hope and pray this new education system, CBE, will manage to take us back to where we were. You do not have to go to university to study anthropology if you can go to a TVET and study electrical engineering. Vision 2030 is geared toward manufacturing and industrialization. That's where our focus should be. Honorable Speaker, this gives us an opportunity to rethink. Honorable Speaker, why would everybody want a university in their village? Why would everybody want a KMTC in even a level 1 hospital? Our mind is warped up. As a country, we must change and rethink afresh. We have a long way to go, but we can reach there. As we continue, we just hope sufficient funds will again be available for research. We just hope sufficient funds will be available for the researchers to actualize the inventions. A sufficient resource will be available for them to patent their invention so that they are not copied or taken away by other superpowers. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, this should be a chain, the top chain. We must not forget TVET institutions. Honorable Speaker, if you meet and speak to many principals of TVETs, even national polytechnics, they say the last time government sent a capitation to students in those colleges was 2024. Up to now, they have never sent any capitation. 2 financial years. Yet we expect those ones to deepen research, deepen industry, deepen technology. We keep on deluding ourselves. We create a problem, we leave a problem unattended, we try to do some grandiose things. We wish and hope the money is being wasted on affordable houses in brick and mortar could be taken to train these boys and girls so that this economy can have the impetus to move forward. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Thank you. Honorable Wandeto.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute on this very important motion. And Mr. Speaker, from the onset, let me say that I fully support the accreditation of the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. Mr. Speaker, I was a member of the ICT committee before I was unceremoniously hounded out for not supporting the impeachment of the then Deputy President. But that is not important. What is important is that I have some history with this institution because it was under the ambit of the CII committee and have indeed even visited the premises of this upcoming institution. Mr. Speaker, this is how nations leapfrog. And as a country, if we hope to get to some of these fancy destinations that we have had in the recent past that we need to go to, then we cannot just go through empty promises. We need to follow a practical path. And the establishment of Kenya East is one of those very practical steps that can enable this country to move forward. Mr. Speaker, this university is modeled, just like my predecessors have said, is modeled along the Korean Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. And the history of K-IST in Korea is that it is one of the institutions that have made that tiny Asian country become such a global icon today in matters of technology. Korea, as you know, is a leader in semiconductors, in electronics, in robotics, in advanced engineering, and so many forth, such that the Korean and so many forth, such that the Korean